Welcome to the Empowerment Hour, the podcast where women across all ages and backgrounds tune in to get their weekly dose of inspiration and motivation. And you know who it is. It's your girl, Nancy Ruffin, the self-proclaimed purpose professional and your very own personal success coach. My entire career and everything that I do, from this podcast to my books, speaking engagements, workshops, all of it centers on one mission. And that is to help women discover their purpose and take inspired action so they create a life where they feel fulfilled and empowered. This work is what brings me the absolute most joy. And the reason for that is because it doesn't really feel like work to me. I wholeheartedly love doing this. And I'm grateful to all of you who tune in weekly to hear me, I guess, rant about my life and my own personal experiences, and to also provide some insight on some of the lessons that I've learned on my own journey. So if this is your first time tuning in, thank you for joining me. I am so incredibly happy that you're here. And as I just mentioned, every week I use my own personal experiences, whether it's in business, whether it's my personal career, brand building, juggling a family, anything and everything that kind of falls in the purview of just being a woman in this day and age. I talk about it all and I use it as a guide and an example for all of you to really assess your own lives and see that anything you want to do, whatever you commit yourself to, whatever you envision for your life, anything is possible if you commit your whole heart to it. You have to love it. You have to be passionate about it, because when you are going to push yourself on those lazy days when you don't feel like doing anything. It's going to make you want to get out of bed in the morning. You have to really love what you do in order to really truly be successful and excel at it. So again, if this is your first time, then please make sure to subscribe, to our podcast so that you don't miss any of our episodes. We drop weekly. And make sure you check out our past episodes. There's a lot of content. I think this is episode 70. So you guys have 69 more episodes to catch up on. But I promise you that every episode is insightful. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes I have a special guest. And sometimes it's just me on my own, like tonight, where I'm just kind of dishing on my life and the things that I've learned so far. So you can find us on many different podcasting websites, I guess, or hosts. We're available on iHeartRadio, on iTunes, on Stitcher Podcasts, on Google Play. And you can also listen directly on the web in your web browser by typing in www.blogtalkradio.com/empowerher. So now that we've gotten all of that out of the way, how are you guys doing? How has the week been? For me, it's been pretty eventful. Last weekend, I celebrated my 20-year anniversary, and I mentioned that I caught Ja Rule's t-shirt. We went to see Ja Rule and Ashanti in concert because me and my husband are super old school, and so we're really huge fans of the hip hop and R&B 90s era. So when we knew they were going to be in concert, we got the tickets and we were in there. In any case, homeboy decided to get half naked during the concert, and he threw his t-shirt into the audience. And first of all, it was my t-shirt to catch, right? And so I had it in my hand, but then there was a dude right in front of me that kind of leapt towards it for it. And he actually ended up catching it. He kind of took it out of my hand. But I think that he realized how awkward it was for a man to be reaching for another man's t-shirt. And then he kind of just relinquished the tee to me. In any case, I have that t-shirt. Not sure what to do with it, right? Because what do you do with a sweaty hip hop stars t-shirt? I mean, if this was years ago when he was really hot in the 90s and I was in high school, who knows, I probably would have slept with it. I would have fantasized about it, all, stuff that high school teenage girls do. But, I'm a 40-year-old woman. Ain't none of that happening. So not sure what to do with the tee. I don't even know where it is, to be honest with you. I had put it on my couch last weekend and not sure, maybe the hubby took it. I don't know what he did with it, but in any case, so we did that. I celebrated my 20-year anniversary, and we're also still celebrating Women's History Month. And last week we celebrated International Women's Day. So I'm giving a round of applause to all of my amazing women who get up every single day and are out there about their business, just making things happen. And, it was very interesting to see all across my social media platforms. I have to tell you that women were bigging each other up. I mean, there were posts. I was getting tagged in so many status updates. And it was just a nice reminder that we are not as catty as society wants us to believe that we are. We are not these jealous, envious, women really clawing our way, to the top by any means necessary. And although I think that there are a handful of women that do that, I still believe that the majority of us really want to see our sisters win. But I will mention that I don't know what it is about Twitter, but people are just really mean and evil, and like Twitter trolls is a real thing. And I think that's probably one of the reasons I'm not as active on that social network as I am on others, because I feel like people sometimes intentionally are trying to be mean and hurtful and nasty just because they want to go viral, because they want to get those retweets. They want people to see how evil and cruel they are for the sake of popularity. And so I mentioned that because on International Women's Day, I don't even know how I ended up. I do know now. I ended up on this thread. And it's because I think I was searching the hashtag National Women's Day. And there was this one woman who was associating, she couldn't understand what was the big hype over International Women's Day and why women were celebrating it or acknowledging it. And in her perspective, from what she was tweeting, International Women's Day is for women who believe that they're weak or that they lack strength. And so we needed this day as a reminder of all of these things. I mean, I don't know what it was, but it was really, really ugly. And I posted about it the next day on my Instagram. And I was saying, guys, if you search this hashtag, you're going to see all of these ridiculous comments. And so, I mean, I wanted to just talk about it because I want to dispel that misconception. I don't think International Women's Day is about that at all. I don't believe that we're celebrating it or acknowledging it as proof or as something to solidify how that we need to be reminded of our strength because we're weak and all of these things that she was saying, but more so just to acknowledge how amazing we are, and how despite the many roles that we wear, the many jobs that we have, we do it also effortlessly, right? And we manage to take on all of these responsibilities, and oftentimes we are not recognized for that. And I think International Women's Day was just a way to say, you know what, women have contributed really amazing things to society, be it in business, be it in science, be it in the arts, be it in our homes, the way that we are raising our children and taking care of our families. We have contributed so much. And for me, that's what International Women's Day represents, is just that day to say, you know what, we rock. And I posted about this also on my Facebook, and my dad is a troll. He trolls my page purposely, almost to kind of rile me up. And I love him dearly, and I'm grateful that him and I are able to have these healthy debates, even when we differ. But he posted the comment, well, when is International Men's Day, or something to that effect? And I told him, I was like, what do you mean? Like, every single day is Men's Day. Like, you men have never had to fight for anything. You haven't had to fight for any equality rights. You have never had to fight to have something that women have. Like, nothing. Like, you live in your male privilege every single day. So every day is Men's Day. Women, since the beginning of time, we have had to fight for all of the rights and privileges that we have today. And I think that is also a reason why we celebrate International Women's Day, just to acknowledge how far we've come as a gender. And even though we've come this far, there is still so much more that we're still fighting for. And this is what that social media troll doesn't recognize. This is what my dad doesn't recognize. We're still fighting. We're not equal. And so until the day comes that we are equal, we're going to have these little bits in time to celebrate all that we've accomplished, all that we've overcome, and everything that we will continue to accomplish. So kudos to Women's History Month. Kudos to International Women's Day. And I want you guys to really think about what that means, because I want us to start thinking about how we support the other women in our own lives. And this is something that I thought about, because there were so many women tagging me as an inspiration, right? Some of them who I am, friends with, and then others who I may not necessarily be friends with, but we are connected on social media, and you guys dig my work, you dig my authenticity, and I'm grateful for you. But it made me wonder, how are we tagging and really acknowledging our sister friends, like those girls that have rocked with us from the very beginning, right? Do they not inspire us as much as that next, social media personality does? And I say this for myself as well as for you all, because I don't think I do a very great job all the time at acknowledging what I like to call day one friends. And that's bad on my part, because I have an incredibly amazing tribe of women who have supported me from the very beginning, from when the dreams that I have now weren't even dreams, when I had no clue what I wanted to do with my life or with my future, or when, on those days where I was just kind of floating by, right? These were the women who uplifted me. They were the ones who, when I started my spoken word journey and was doing, poetry and heading to these open mics, these were the women that were there in the audience, giving me the courage to get up on that stage and share my words. Because if you've ever had to speak in front of large audiences, that is nerve-wracking. It is terrifying. And even till this day, with as much experience as I have in public speaking, I still get nervous. I'm able to control my nerves a lot better now than I did then, but it never goes away. And when I was first starting out, I was incredibly terrified, but looking out into the audience and seeing my girls there really gave me the strength to push through it all. And so I don't know if I acknowledge them enough. I don't know if I recognize them enough. I don't know if I say thank you enough. And so for that, I got to check myself and I have to do better. And I'm going to take this opportunity to do that. And I have a handful of girls and my brother-in-law who have been with me from the beginning. And that is Samantha Deborah. She reminded me today that I met her when she was 21 years old. She is now 34. And that's 13 years of friendship and sisterhood that she has been by my side through the birth of my children, through some of my most difficult losses. She's been with me through some of my most incredible joys, so I'm grateful for you, Sammy. Zeta Medina is probably the longest friendship that I've had. And I want to say that we met when I was about 17 or 18. I was definitely still a teenager, maybe 18, because we met through another mutual friend who neither one of us are friends with any longer. But Zeta has been with me a really long time, and she is one of the most supportive friends that I have. And when I first started publishing my books, this is a really funny story. She would always buy 2 copies of my books, and I just assumed that she was buying one for herself and buying one to gift. And it wasn't until I published my 3rd book that she told me that she buys 2 books because one is the one that she reads, and then the second is the one that she keeps as a what do you call it? Memorabilia or something like that. But like, she doesn't touch it because she doesn't want to bend the pages, and she just wants to have that book as something that she treasures. And it blew my mind when she told me that. And it just goes to show the kind of friends that I have. And then my other friend, Miriam Thompson, I met her when she was Miriam Perez before she got married. One of the sincerest, giving, loving, funny women that I've ever had the opportunity to meet. And her and I met at a job that I'm no longer at, obviously. But the fact that we met at a place where we were both employed, and we have been able to nurture and maintain this incredible friendship and sisterhood is just a testament to the kind of person that she is. I'm so incredibly lucky to have her. And then, of course, I have my biggest fan and biggest supporter, my sister, who, I would be nothing without her. And those of you who know me know how incredibly close her and I are. And she really believes in me, I think, more than I believe in myself sometimes. Her and my brother-in-law both are my biggest cheerleaders. They both make me believe that I can do anything, even when I doubt myself, even when I'm most afraid, even when I feel like giving up. They are the ones that are there. They've become such an incredible part of this dream that I have. And so I can't wait until I make it big and until I succeed and until I am where I envision myself, because these are the ones who I want to be there with me when I get to that mountaintop. and I'm looking down and just feeling that that joy of knowing that you've reached the peak, right? They're the ones that I want there with me. And so though I may not recognize them all the time and acknowledge them, they are all such an important part of my life and my journey. I would not be where I am without them. And I know that I'm ranting here, and this is not why you guys tune in, but I want you to take this and apply it to your own lives and look at the people in your circles who support you and have supported you the most. And how are you acknowledging them? How are you letting them know the importance that they have in your life, the significance that they play, and all of the ways that you appreciate them, right? How are you publicly acknowledging them on these social media platforms the way you may acknowledge someone who you don't personally know, right? I also want you to think about how do we speak greatness into our friends, right? It's always easy for us to speak words of encouragement to our followers or to perfect strangers, but how are we doing those very same things to the people who are closest to us? And then, most importantly, how are we speaking greatness into ourselves, right? It's so easy for us to see our failures and our flaws and where we fall short. We nitpick at our bodies, at our faces. Maybe we don't like our hair. We're constantly picking ourselves apart, and it's easy to do that. But how often are you celebrating yourself? How often are you telling yourself, great job, or you're rewarding yourself for all of the great things that you've done? How are you filling yourself up with love and admiration when we live in a world that is constantly telling us we are not enough? We are not deserving. We have to be in a constant state of competition with the next person, right? How are you fighting all of that? And how are you maintaining your own sense of worth? This is something that I really want you to start thinking about, because I think you, more than anyone, have the responsibility to take care of yourself, of your well-being, of your mental state, your emotional state, making sure that you are not subjecting yourself to things or people or experiences that are breaking you down, not allowing anyone to get in your head and make you doubt how great you really are. Think about all of the things that maybe you have wanted to do and didn't do because you were afraid of what others would say or what others would think. Or maybe you've mentioned, an idea to someone and they've told you, there's no way you can do that. Who do you think you are? Because we have all experienced that kind of person at one point in our lives. And it's important to remember that when you meet with someone who has that kind of attitude and expresses those kinds of thoughts to you, it's not at all a reflection of who you are or what you cannot do, but it's a reflection of themselves and their inability to see that greatness in themselves. And so because we can never see in others what we don't have in ourselves, that is their projection of their own insecurities onto you. And so you have to be mindful about that and about people who have those types of comments towards you or that type of thinking. You have to limit your time around them because that becomes toxic. And those toxic relationships don't serve you at all. And today I really wanted to talk about purpose, because this is something that I talk a lot about, and it's something that I get a lot of questions on. And people are always asking me, well, how do you find your purpose? And the truth is, there isn't like a cookie cutter answer for that. There isn't a one size fits all reply that I can say, well, if you do X, Y, and Z, this is how you discover your purpose. That is not how you find your purpose. But purpose more so has to do with the things that you are most passionate about, the things that you love the most, that bring you the most joy, but also are impacting the world at large, right? So it's about you discovering the things that you love, the things that you're good at, and then how you're sharing that with the world so that you can make it a better place. So purpose is really about being of service. And the way that you are of service is by discovering your God-given talents, plus what you're great at doing, and then figuring out how to share that. And for me, this work that I'm doing, when I opened this episode and I said that my one mission in life is to help women discover their purpose so that they can take inspired action and create a life where they feel fulfilled and empowered. That was not ever something that I dreamed about doing. As a little girl, I didn't say, okay, yes, my purpose and my dream is to help women discover their purpose and blah, 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 right? That's not what my dream was. But my purpose revealed itself through a series of experiences and encounters with certain people, and then doing a really introspective look at myself and at the things that brought me the most joy, happiness, and peace. And when I got to the point where I knew this was why God put me on this earth, it was all a direct result of how women have played such integral, pivotal roles in my own life. Women have lifted me up when I was at my lowest. Women have spoken life back into me when all I felt like doing was dying. It was this sisterhood that empowered me to not give up and to make the decision that my life up until that point did not have to remain where it was, that I had everything within me to get up and move forward and really change my life and make it anything that I wanted it to be. And that experience is what I wanted to give every single woman that I ever came in contact with. And so a lot of this work, especially the speaking engagements, especially the fact that I'm able to sit here on a podcast and speak to you all came as a result of stepping onto the poetry scene almost 10 years ago. Getting up on that stage and doing those open mics really helped me to not only hone my voice, but to find my voice. And I think I knew very early on I was not a great performance poet. That takes a different skill set that I just don't have. I can be a great speaker, but to go up on a stage and perform, I'm not that kind of person. I'm not a performer. And so I recognized that. And although I recognized I wasn't a performance poet, I didn't allow that to stop me from using that platform to cultivate my voice. And that's what that was. And when I talk about pivoting into your purpose, I never would have been able to get to where I am had it not been for stepping on those poetry stages and reciting my poetry. Now, while I think I'm an excellent writer, and I've written some really incredible poems, when it comes to performing them, that is not my strength. But I didn't let that stop me. I took those poems and I used to go every single week to these open mics and go spit my verses, right? And it gave me courage. It gave me confidence, and it really helped to hone my voice. And then that experience just connected me with an entire community of people that have been integral in my journey to where I am at this point. So sometimes we start off in a certain environment, not understanding at that time the significance of it, but it is very necessary, because every single thing that we go through, and guys, I say this probably in almost every podcast, right? Every experience that we go through is a intentional part of your journey. That thing that you're going through right now, whether good or bad, is placing you on the path of where you will find yourself a month from now, 2 months, and maybe not even a month, but maybe 2 years from now. When you look back at your life, at this point in your life, whatever you're going through right now may not make any sense to you, but when you look back at it 2 years from now, it'll be very clear, and you'll understand, and you're going to say, yes, that'll be your aha moment. And you'll realize that you had to go through whatever you're going through so that you can get to where you're supposed to be at. So I never want you to pity yourself, right? And when you're going through struggles, when you're going through challenges, it's so easy for us to say, God, why me? You have to learn to change that mindset. You have to shift it. And instead of asking why me, you have to say, okay, God, what is this experience trying to teach me? What is the lesson I'm supposed to be learning here? And as soon as you make that shift, your entire life will be different. The way you experience things will be different. The way you handle disappointment, rejection, hurt, it will all be different if you shift that mindset from why me to what is it that I'm supposed to be learning? What is this supposed to be teaching me? Because life is a series of lessons, and we will continue to repeat the same lessons in different ways. They will show up, in different formats until we learn the lesson. And once you learn the lesson, it will disappear. And that trial, that struggle will just go away. But you have to learn what it's designed to teach you. So that's what I want to kind of leave you with this week. I want you to think about how you are going to pivot into your purpose. And even if you don't know what that is right now, think about all of the things that you are going through right now. Think about everything that you have gone through and how you've survived it, how you've overcome those things in the past that have led you to your present day life. And what were those lessons that you learned to get you to where you are right now? And then think about, had any of those things not happened, or had they happened differently, how different would your life have been right now? So think about that. Think about what you want your legacy to be. When it's all said and done, right? People are not going to remember the amount of money you had, the house you lived in, the kind of clothes that you wore, the car that you drove, They're not going to remember any of that, but they are going to remember how you impacted the world. How kind were you to people? How did you help people? All of these things are what people remember. They'll remember how you treated them. If you made them laugh, if you made them feel great. What do you want your legacy to be? So guys, I will leave you with that. Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of the Empowerment Hour podcast. As I do every single week, I want you to go out there focused. I don't want anyone to throw you off your game. Be mindful of what you're doing. Be gentle with yourself, right? Don't be too hard on yourself when things don't turn out the way you planned them. But nevertheless, keep pushing and go out there and crush some goals.